Hi, my name is Will Nunziata, New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film, and also a proud FENIX Global Artist Ambassador. Today, I am thrilled to be speaking with the incredible singer, songwriter, guitarist, bassist. She does it all. Her name, Crista Giuliani. For more on Crista, you can read more about her right below this video, but in the meantime, here is a sneak peek at the incredible talent of Crista. Well, hello, Crista. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing so much better, Crista, now that I'm speaking with you on this early morning in New York City. And
Woo!
Crista, I'm so excited that the audience got a little sneak peek of your amazing talent with your tune, The Truth. Talk to me a little bit about the impetus for that song and also the music video.
Well, I was a few years before going through a major personal transformation. And when I do songwrite, I don't judge myself and I just kind of allow the spirit and the words and the feeling to run through me. And I tend to record just in that moment and without judgment. And oftentimes, if I'm in one of those specific moods, it's more or less what the song ends up being because it's all about capturing the feeling in that moment. So I wrote this song a long time ago, many years ago, not realizing I'd perform it years later with a band, not realizing that a couple years after that, I'd be recording with a Grammy-nominated producer. And this is the first song that I'm releasing off of an EP that will be released soon. You know, COVID has put a little damper on everything, and I've just had to learn to be in the moment and allow the process to happen in its own time. And I think we've all learned that. And it's been an interesting process trying to push things forward, but also allow things to happen in their own time.
Beautifully said. I mean, a few things that you're mentioning that a bunch of artists have already talked with me about is, first and foremost, them writing songs maybe months or years ago, but for some odd reason during this time of reflection and introspection, finding a home for it now more than ever. And I also love the fact too that this is also going to be a part of something greater that is in the works. And I also love, Crista, that you're not just a singer-songwriter, but a multi-instrumentalist, right? You play both the guitar and bass, and I believe you have some on display behind you. I want to know, first and foremost, Crista, where you were born and when did you realize that you had this gift for music?
I was born on the East Coast around Boston. I grew up and spent the majority of my childhood all of my childhood in Denver, Colorado, university in California. And I've been in New York since 1999. So it's been a minute. I love New York. It's my home. It's the place I've lived the most. I was very inspired by Jean-Michel Basquiat and Velvet Underground. And I wanted to go to a place where that kind of art and music was created. I came to music as a child primarily through singing, through church with my parents and through choirs at school, played the piano, played the trumpet, did not pick up a guitar until I had been in a rock band for a couple of years at university. And I was the front woman there. It was a hard rock kind of alternative mismatch. All of us had different instrumentalists, two guitarists. It was fun. We did a cover of Whole Lot of Love into Paranoid, if you can imagine. And it was only kind of well into that I started picking up a guitar. And the first song I wrote, I performed years later in New York City, literally when I didn't know one chord on guitar and I just made up chords. So I'm primarily self-taught in a lot of ways and have taken guitar lessons through the year. Greg Gersten was one of my guitar teachers for a while. I just saw him last night perform, or 2 nights ago, performing with Kit Malone from TV on the Radio. That was a wonderful person to keep in touch with. And so I feel like I'm constantly a student, learning about music, growing with music. But primarily I'm an emotional based lyricist, songwriter, and I allow that to take me where it goes.
It's amazing, Crista. And you know, you're mentioning something too that I can already tell with you. You're a person who has never lost that childlike sense of wonder. And I'm sure that that seeps down to, you know, your own kids, and also how exciting for you that you've never lost it, because it's that sense of curiosity, don't you think, in that sense of not being settled, but constantly thinking in the mindset of being a student and learning not only helps you as a human, but as an artist too.
Absolutely. I just started playing bass guitar not that long ago. I took some online bass lessons during the pandemic. I had to keep growing. I had to keep changing. I did not want to stagnate. I realized that pandemic was a gift of time, that, you know, New Yorkers were always rush, 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 busy, busy. That in and of itself is a blessing. But also I realized that I was never going to have this much time. So I allowed myself to slow down, become more pensive, work on bass. Bass is quite a different guitar in terms of locking in with the rhythm. With guitar, you can kind of like prance on top of the rhythm, and with bass, you have to be really solid. Learning to sing while playing bass, because of that specifically, is quite challenging, because you basically have to separate your hands from your voice
It's
in
like,
order to. Yes, it's exactly that. And it was challenging. So I took that gift of time and played with the drum machine and really tried to nail that down. And I think I did. And I had the gift of time. So I tried to use it. I tried to make the most of that year. It was, some of us could look at it as a lost year, but I spent a lot of time with some close friends and time in nature. And going forward now, I've been listening to a lot of great like songwriters, Courtney Barnett, most specifically. I love her saying things take time, take time. And I've kind of embracing that. And I think I'm going to be coming back to songwriting again soon with a new perspective, and maybe slowing down a little bit, maybe the tempos, maybe the feelings. She has a great song called Ray Street. It's a pandemic song. The video is hilarious, where she notices what her neighbors are doing outside of her window during pandemic. And I think that's something we all kind of had to do, was just slow down and become comfortable with ourselves.
you know, on top of that too, Krista, it's not only our interest, I think now more than ever, in wanting to eavesdrop in on the little things, but to eavesdrop in on ourselves, and to maybe reacquaint ourselves with that inner child, or maybe that inner want or need or trauma. And it's very interesting the way that you even just talk about so beautifully the guitar kind of, you know, sifting above, where with the bass, you're forced to literally and figuratively dig in to the heartbeat and the beat and the heartbeat. And so it makes sense that through you learning the bass, that I am sure things naturally have come up for you to realize, my God, there's something poetic to be said lyrically now too.
Well, absolutely. I think you really nailed the head on the head. It was trauma. We all collectively went through trauma.
And by the way, dare I say, still probably dealing with PTSD. I mean, you know, having, I have no problem. I feel very comfortable with you, and you don't have to say whatever you want to say. We're recording, but you know, I have suffered from anxiety my whole life. And there are a lot of things that I thought were at bay and dealt with that needed to be faced. And thank God, and I love what you said, thank goodness, positive way to look at it, with the gift of time, I was able to take a breath and face it.
Oh, absolutely. I know. As I'm an essential worker. I work in news. I have been working throughout the pandemic. I was going in when there was a curfew in New York City, seeing that side of New York empty when no one else was around. I was driving in and out of work. It definitely gave me a different perspective. Resiliency is key. Close friends are key. I think all of our circles got incredibly small during the pandemic. I feel very fortunate that I had a really tight group of friends boosting me up when I needed boosting, and I boosted them up when they needed boosting. And they know who they are, and they know they're very invaluable to me. And all of it. I'm grateful for my dog. I can't hear how many people have gone out and got pandemic pets or
I got
walked
two.
in nature.
I
Did
got
you
two
really?
Malteses.
Good for you. Aren't they the best?
Well, it's like they're the best, and then I'm like, wait, what did I do? But it's like, you know what? It's meant to be. It's fine. It's fine.
They all the new dog parents say that.
Wait,
they do.
My husband and I were walking through Central Park last weekend, and we were like, we're seeing a lot more dogs, and then literally we're looking down like, oh yeah, they did the thing. They did the pandemic pet.
Well, exactly. We need that comfort. And you were talking about anxiety before. Breathing. Why is singing so cathartic? Because it takes your mind off of stuff and it reminds you to breathe. And I think that in and of itself, we all have to breathe. Like when things get tense, you feel your heart rate racing, you feel that shortness of breath, just like the deep breaths in and the deep breaths out. And all of a sudden you're settled and you're conscious and you're in that moment. I heard this great phrase, depression is living in the past and anxiety is living in the future. And you have to live right now in this moment.
Oh, Crista, okay. I don't want this interview to end. Unfortunately, it has to soon because of time. However, I wish I could just get all of these little isms and sayings and little tidbits and have you record them for me in the world, because you're mentioning so many key things that I think are important, not only as artists, but as humans, that in this time, what a beautiful opportunity we all have in terms of moving forward to make the choice of gratitude, to choose to breathe, to choose to investigate the superfluous, to get to the elegant in what matters. Because if there's anything we've learned during this time, is that truly time is precious, because we've all seen and lived in it as one collective. And if there's any time in our whole world's history that we've been laid out on the same playing field, it's now. And Crista, to have someone like you who is juggling life, music, motherhood, all of it, and still doing her bliss, it's amazing. And I'm so excited and grateful for the time that you took today.
I'm grateful for you. Thank you so much.